Robert Mitchell sat in his corner office on the 32nd floor, watching the evening sun cast long shadows across the conference room below. The mahogany table was still cluttered with papers, coffee cups, and the remnants of another failed strategy meeting. 12 consultants had walked away that afternoon, each one shaking their head at the impossible problem that had been plaguing his company for months. The system crashes were getting worse. Every few days, their entire network would freeze, bringing productivity to a halt and costing them thousands of dollars in lost revenue. The most expensive minds in the city had examined their servers, analyzed their code, and presented elaborate solutions that never quite worked. Robert rubbed his temples. Daughter Emma, after his wife's passing 5 years earlier, he'd learned to balance board meetings with parent-teacher conferences, quarterly reports with helping with homework. But this technical problem seemed beyond his reach, and the stress was beginning to show. Through the glass, he could see Margaret Chen, the evening janitor, waiting patiently with her cleaning cart. Robert had always admired Margaret's quiet dignity. She'd been with the company for over 8 years, arriving each evening at 6 o'clock sharp, methodically working through each floor with a gentle smile for anyone who happened to be working late. Come in, Margaret, Robert called out, his voice carrying the weariness of the day. Margaret entered, her silver hair neatly pinned back, her eyes bright with the kind of warmth that comes from years of observing life with patience and understanding. She began collecting the empty coffee cups, moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who took pride in her work. Rough day, Mr. Mitchell? She asked quietly, her voice carrying a slight accent that spoke of her journey from Taiwan to America decades ago. Robert let out a long sigh. The worst kind, Margaret. We can't figure out why our computers keep crashing. May I ask you something, Mr. Mitchell? Of course. When do these crashes happen? What time of day? Robert looked up, surprised by the question. None of the consultants had asked about timing. Well, let me think. Usually in the afternoon. Around 2 or 3 o'clock, I'd say. Margaret nodded thoughtfully. And what floor? The 15th floor. Mainly, sometimes the 14th. Why do you ask? Margaret's face brightened with the gentle confidence of someone who had solved countless small mysteries through years of careful observation. Mr. Mitchell, would you mind if I showed you something? It will only take a minute. Curious now, Robert followed Margaret to the elevator. They rode down in comfortable silence, and she led him to the 15th floor. The office was quiet at this hour, with only the hum of computers and the distant sound of traffic from the street below. Margaret walked directly to a corner near the main server room, where a small break area had been set up for employees. She pointed to a microwave sitting on a counter, its cord snaking across the floor to an outlet directly behind the wall that housed the main servers. This microwave. Margaret said gently, it's been here for about 6 months. The employees use it every day around lunchtime and again in the mid-afternoon for their coffee breaks. Understanding beginning to dawn on his face. The electromagnetic interference. When the microwave runs, it interferes with the server signals. Margaret nodded, her smile warm and knowing. I noticed because I clean this area every evening. I've watched the pattern. The crashes always happen when someone is heating their lunch or making afternoon coffee. The microwave is too close to your computer equipment. Robert stood there for a moment, absorbing the simple elegance of the solution. Months of expensive consulting, complex theories, and technical jargon. And the answer had been right there all along, visible to anyone who took the time to really observe. Margaret, he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. You've just saved our company. The next morning, Robert called an all-hands meeting. He stood before his employees, many of whom looked tired from the ongoing technical difficulties, and told them the story of Margaret's discovery. He explained how sometimes the most complex problems have the simplest solutions, and how wisdom often comes from unexpected sources. Margaret Chen, he announced, will be joining our team as our new Director of Operations. Her salary will reflect the value she brings to our company, and her office will be on the executive floor. The room erupted in applause. Margaret, who had been standing quietly in the back, looked stunned. Robert walked over to her, taking her hands in his. You see things others miss, he said softly. You pay attention to details, to patterns, to the human side of business. That's exactly what we need. She implemented simple but effective systems, always considering the human element that the technical experts had overlooked. She organized problem-solving sessions where employees at every level could contribute ideas, believing that solutions often come from those closest to the actual work. Robert learned something profound that day about the value of listening, of paying attention to the people who quietly make things work. Success, he would always tell them about Margaret and the microwave. He'd explain that the best leaders aren't those who have all the answers. Sometimes the most valuable insights come not from expensive consultants or complex theories, and to remember that every person has something valuable to offer. The company thrived, not just because they solved their technical problem, but because they learned to value the quiet wisdom that exists in every corner of our lives, waiting to be noticed by those humble enough to see it.